Hey, welcome back to Mike's Italian Grand Adventure. I'm here back at my house in the beautiful Rocky Mountains of Colorado, drinking a little cappuccino and enjoying the summer day. So, we've got a lot to cover on today's episode. Got some follow up from the house I showed you last week that I told you I was quite interested in, and I was thinking about making an offer on that place. So, I've got a lot of updates related to that. I've got some really exciting news that I want to share with you. And I've actually got some bad news too. Believe it or not, someone tried to snake that house out from under me, the one from last week. So I'll tell you a little bit about that. But stay tuned, and I'll be right back. All right, I've got 4 things I want to cover today. First of all, I want to share with you some really exciting news. So YouTube invited me to become a partner. So there's certain levels you need to reach in order to become a partner. They're based on the number of subscribers, number of hours of video watched. And thanks to all of you who seem to be really interested in this topic of my Italian Grand Adventure. Those levels, I surpassed those a couple of weeks ago. Got an email from YouTube, and they invited me, and I applied, and I was accepted. So it's really exciting for me. It's just, it's kind of an incredible validation that what I'm doing is interesting to others, and so I appreciate that incredibly. So thank you so much for subscribing. Thank you so much for watching these videos. And so what that means, being a partner, a YouTube partner now, it means I can start offering more things to you, the viewer. The first thing you'll start to notice in the next week or two here is will be a little join button right next to the subscribe button. And what that allows you to do is there's membership levels where you can become a member of my channel. And you get certain perks depending on the level that you join at. So it's important to realize that the content's not going to change. I'm going to keep putting these videos out, and they're going to be free, and you can watch them whenever you want. But there'll be some added features for those that choose to become members. So I'll have some more videos that will be available for only members, some behind-the-scenes stuff, maybe some bloopers. I don't know. I'm kind of working out what's going to be on the different levels, but stay tuned for watching for that join button, and there'll be a separate video on there just to kind of talk about the membership as well. But once again, thanks so much. So I'm really excited about that. That's number 1. So number 2 for today, I've got a video from the property, from the realtor, Paula. When we were there, we were in such a hurry. She had such a limited amount of time, and the place was so big. We didn't even look at the cellar. So there's a pretty big cellar. So she went back with a friend with a flashlight and her phone, and recorded a little tour of the cellar. So why don't we take a look at that right now? And then when we come back, I'll go through the next few topics.
All right, you can see here, those were the stairs to go upstairs, and take a left, and then here's the cellar. I didn't even see that in the dark before, but not quite sure what that niche is right there. Pretty interesting. And then there's the big block on the floor. Not sure what that is, but you can see the walls look like they're just carved right out of stone. It's pretty incredible. Wow. So, okay. There's the can of fuel oil I saw. You see it says petrol on the side. And I think that white thing in the back is a cistern for water, and this black is probably a fuel oil or heating oil tank. On the right, you can see where the walls look like they're just chiseled right out of stone. And then it goes down here again. I'm not sure what this little room would be down here. It looks like part of it's bricked off back in there, like maybe a support for the house, or there was a tunnel or something. Escape tunnel. It looks like some holes going upwards there. Maybe those go to the street. I'm not quite sure. And then this room right here with the brick shelves. How cool is that? I don't know. I would imagine for storing wine. It's Italy. But yeah, take a look at those walls and the ceiling there, chiseled right out of solid stone. Really pretty amazing. And then, here again on the right, you can see that hatch going out to the street. So maybe they can deliver heating oil through there. Looks like maybe there's a little hole in the ground there. So this is interesting, these wine bottles on the right. You see that big jug on the bottom? I had stayed at an agroturismo that was a winery, and I asked them if locals can buy wine. And they said, yeah, you bring one of those big bottles, and they'll fill it up, and you bring it home and bottle it. So on the right, that looks like a well, like a water well. I saw those in another place too. And you'll see here's the main boiler. So I'm guessing this would be the main boiler here. It looks pretty decent, actually. And then that must be another boiler. I'm not sure what that's for. Maybe it's a pellet stove or something. I don't know. But let's see the barrel vaulted ceilings here with a little brick. And then that's it. Head back out.
Okay. So what do you think? Pretty incredible, huh? So it looks to me like some of that cellar is just carved out of solid stone. You can see on the walls where it's just like chisel marks almost, and then some bricks put down for the stairs and for different areas too, and then the brick shelving in there. But what an incredible place down there. So when I saw that cellar video, it brought up a pretty good question. Maybe you noticed the boilers down there in one of the rooms and the big can that says petrol. So I asked Paula about that, and she said the fuel source for that is diesel. So I'm guessing that's the same as what we would call fuel oil. A lot of people on the East Coast in the United States use fuel oil. If it's not the same, it's very similar, I'm sure. So I was a little concerned about that because, then you have to schedule a service to come and fill it up. And I don't know how expensive it is. But the other thing is that I didn't know how old the boiler was. And I think it's been turned off for several years. So they drained all the water lines in the house, which is another issue. But the boiler, I guess the owners say that it definitely works. So, I tend to believe them. A boiler, it's, not rocket science. Maybe it is kind of rocket science, a fuel and a burner. But, it's a pretty simple device. So there's not really a lot that can go wrong with it. So I'm guessing it's probably still good. So actually today I just got a text from Paula. She had a plumber come over to the house and give her an estimate on how much it would cost to replace the boiler. So it was quite a bit. So replace that single boiler was about 5,000 euros. So a little later on, I'm going to talk about the prices for some things I found out. So so 5,000 euros, that's, a chunk of change. And especially when you hear the price I negotiated for the house. So that was an issue. Also, the water lines have been drained. So, I'm not sure if they were drained properly and if it's been freezing in the winter, if those pipes broke. I don't know. So obviously what thing to do would be to pressure test it, fill it with air, plug everything, put a valve on it, pump it full of air up to a certain pressure and make sure it's not leaking, before you pump water through it and water goes in the walls and, ruins everything. So I'd want to do that. And I don't know if I would do that before I sign an offer. So just to let you know, I haven't signed an offer yet. But so that's something I'd like to think about. And, maybe I can negotiate that into the price a little bit. So, just a few concerns about the systems. In the first video, which if you haven't seen that video yet, I'll try to put a link here for it so you can see it. But if not, it's just the one from the previous week. So take a look at that and you'll see there's a hot water heater, and that was for like hot water from the taps. But then this in the cellar was the boiler. Paula mentioned a couple of different options too. You could put in like mini splits. You've seen those. Those are popular. So those would do heating and cooling. So with things getting hotter around the world, maybe it'd be nice to have cooling. So you'd do that and then maybe hook in a pellet stove that would just be for those times when it's really, really cold and those mini splits don't quite do the heating. So that's an option as well. But then you're looking at, another at least 5,000, 5,000 to 7,000 probably euros to do that. So, it's interesting, something to think about for sure. I'll try to do a little wrap up on the end with all the expenses so you can see, and you guys can give me your opinion. I really value it. I've had some incredible comments. And by the way, from last week's video, incredibly positive comments. So many people really liked it, loved the tile floors, as I did, obviously. So really, really fascinating process, interesting to go through. One other thing I wanted to talk about was the codice fiscale. So, in order to buy a property, you have to have this tax ID number in Italy. It's called codice fiscale. It's analogous to a social security number in the United States. And you can only get them as a foreigner that's not living there under a couple of circumstances, and one of them is buying property. So I did some research, and the Italian consulate that is in San Francisco, on their website, it said that if you're buying one, you just need to send in a signed purchase agreement, which is kind of like the first step. And when we started going through that, I'll talk about that in a little bit as well. I just wanted to talk real quickly about this preliminary sales agreement. So this is the document that if you have a signed preliminary sales agreement, you can send to the Italian consulate to get a codice fiscale. So if you look, it's just got some very basic information. So it's got the name of the sellers, name of the buyers, or buyer. It's got basically just saying some things are the sellers certify certain things. You also put in the purchase price that you've agreed to. So this is why it's a preliminary sales agreement. So you talk about the price. You also say when this will be finalized, like, a deadline basically. And then you also put in how much the commission is going to be for the real estate agent. So that's this area here on both sides. So this is the Italian side, obviously, and the English side over here. So this is how much the real estate agent is going to get for a commission. And then the seller signs this to accept the agreement. Then I sign it as a buyer, and that's it. So that's the first step, really. After you negotiate a price, then you do this to kind of finalize it. So that is the proposta di acquisto. Yeah, so I'm guessing that's an acquisition, like the proposal for acquisition is what I'm guessing it means. But you just need to send that in, and by email, fill out a couple of forms, like your contact information and a copy of your passport, and they'll send you a codice fiscale. So this number that I'd been kind of worried about getting, because I didn't know how you'd get it. I didn't know if you had to do it when you're in the country, which you incidentally can apparently do it in the country too, and just go walk into one of their offices, and I think they give you a number on the spot. So it's really not a big deal. And another thing I'd heard is that you could have like a limited power of attorney with your realtor or with an attorney, and they can get one on your behalf in Italy. And I guess it's quite a bit faster as well than trying to do it through the whatever. But it seems like it's quite easy with the Italian consulate. And I contacted them and asked them, and they said, "Yep, no problem." Because there was a question. It said if you don't need the little plastic card, it's a green plastic card with your number on it. If you don't need that card, it's a lot faster and you can apply by email. So I sent them an email and just said, will I ever need the plastic card? I don't need it. I just need the number. And they said, no, you don't really need the card. And if you want it, just send us a self-addressed stamped envelope and we'll send it to you. It'll take a little while, but okay. So codice fiscale, really interesting. The boiler, that was another really interesting factor that I saw from that cellar tour. But a couple of other things. So this is kind of number 3 I wanted to talk about are the prices. So if you remember, the price of this property was originally 95,000 euros. And then it had been reduced to 85,000 euros. And that's when I looked at it. And I told Paula afterwards, I said, I think it's just a little too big for me, and I don't really want to spend that much because I don't need something that big. I'd rather get something that's smaller and a little bit cheaper. And she said, well, they're really motivated and that price is negotiable. So I contacted Paula a couple weeks ago and said, okay, what's negotiable? I mean, what's the number? And she says, I think you could get it for 60 or 65,000 euros. And I was like, 60,000 euros for that place? Hell yes. Let's sign it up, write it up right now. So she contacted the sellers. There's 3 owners of that property. 2 of them were pretty motivated to sell. The other one didn't really want to go that low, but they came back at 65,000 euros. So that's pretty incredible, right? I mean, for that property, I know I can hear all you guys saying, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it. But there's a lot of other things to think about here. The boiler, which I just talked about, that's another 5,000 euros minimum if I'm going to replace it. But it may work. I may not have to do anything. If the water lines are damaged, that'd be super expensive. But again, if they drained them properly and I can pressure test them, then that's fine. The taxes on that purchase are about 11,000 euros. And then realtor and notary fees are like another 5,000. So you're looking at about, 16,000 on top of that. So, you're at 65 and then you're at 80. So you're back up to 80,000, which still, is probably a pretty good value for that place, quite honestly. But I just need to think, also if I need something that big again. Excuse me. So, there's a lot of cost to go into a place that big. I need to get furnishings for 2 bedrooms, two living rooms, and then a whole new kitchen. And the one that's there is in pretty rough shape. I think it would work. But so at least a full kitchen, or maybe if it's going to be just a guest thing, maybe just a kitchenette or something, a smaller one, that might work too. But, you need furniture for those rooms, beds, couches, chairs, whatever. And then the rooftop patio, put in a new staircase. My buddy Kuba can help me with that. So I think, we could probably make that work pretty reasonably priced. But, it's not just the $65,000 price, right? It's going to be a lot more. So the other thing is it does have property taxes. As a foreigner, not living there, not a resident of Italy, property taxes are about 13,000 euros a year. 1,300 euros a year. Sorry about that. So yeah, $1,500 roughly per year. And that's not a lot for that place, but just something to factor in. And then there's other fees for waste. There's a waste fee, municipal waste fee. I don't think it's a lot, but that all adds up. So I don't know, there's a lot to think about there. And if I could find a smaller place, some of those other ones that I was looking at, or even someplace, I'm still thinking about fixing someplace up, 20,000 euros, get a decent place, decent space, put in the water lines yourself, build the 2 bathrooms, build the kitchen the way you want it. And I'm not afraid of doing any of that stuff. And, it's not like I'm going to be over there swinging a hammer anyway. I'm going to hire someone to do that work. But I think labor prices are pretty reasonable in Italy. What I've heard from others and seen from other projects I've followed over there, it's a lot more reasonable than it is here in the United States for sure. So yeah, I don't know. That's something I definitely am thinking about doing. I think it would be really awesome and really a fun experience. And you guys could all follow along through the whole process. So I don't know. This is one of those times where when they came back at 65,000 euros for that place, I was like, done. Yep, write it up. Send me the contract, Paula. Unfortunately, she was a little bit busy with some other projects and it took her a few days. So she didn't get it to me because I would have signed it immediately. But now, I don't know, second thoughts, third thoughts, fourth thoughts. It's just a lot to think about. And so, yeah, we'll see. The timing would have worked out nicely because I have enough time before I go back to Europe. I'm going back in September. So I could get my Codice Fiscale. I could go there and show up in person and sign it. They hand me the keys. And I was thinking about it. I could even leave Sasha, my motorcycle, there at the new place and then fly back to Prague and catch my flight home. And, I wouldn't have to ride from Italy all the way back to Prague, which is, like a 3 or 4 day trip. So, yeah, I don't know. It's still super enticing. I mean, really interesting. I'm really tempted to do it, but I'm just gonna, there's no huge hurry. I can just take my time and, if someone else buys it, if someone else comes by and picks it up, maybe then it wasn't meant to be. But that brings me to number 4 on my list today. Someone tried to buy that. One of the viewers tried to buy that place out from under me, which I post these videos every Friday morning. So Saturday morning, I got a text from Paula saying, someone saw your video and contacted me and wants to buy it. So my face must have changed 5 shades of red. I was furious. And I've thought about it a lot over the last few days. And I was ready to make a video and post it right there, just, ripping into whoever did that. But, it's just a tough one. I mean, okay, I can hear a bunch of you saying, Well, yeah, you put a video on YouTube for the world to see. What did you expect, right? Well, okay, all's love and or all's fair in love and war and real estate, apparently, right? But still, this is a pretty personal experience and process for me, and I've been sharing it with you guys, and it's been a really incredible thing. But then to think that someone is watching my videos, and if you look right at the description, it says, follow along as I fulfill my dream of finding a place to live in Italy, right? So someone, probably knowing that, is watching this video and says, oh, look, Mike just found his dream home. Let's go try to buy it before he can. I mean, I was just dumbfounded, It was just a feeling. It's kind of like, if you've ever had something stolen from your car or your house or whatever, it's just that feeling, you kind of feel violated a little bit, or I don't know. It's just, it really rubbed me the wrong way. And man, I've been thinking about it a lot this week. And I thought about, maybe I just don't show the properties on YouTube anymore, or I don't know. But, and for those of you that said, hey, it's fair game, I'm not naive, trust me. I had scheduled to have a signed contract before the video went live last Friday. So I had contacted Paula. She was supposed to get the contract to me, and I was going to sign it. And so it would have been under contract before the video went live. That was kind of my plan. But that didn't happen because she was busy, and then this happened. But thank God, Paula is incredibly honest, and she contacted me immediately, and you should have seen her text message. She was torn up. She's like, Mike, I have a really big problem. Someone contacted me and wants to buy this place, and I don't know what to tell them because you've already said you want to. And she said, I just told them that you were waiting and making a decision, and that I would get back to them. So what I ended up telling her was, I said, hey, just go ahead. If they want to buy it, by all means. I don't want to stop you from making a commission and from selling it. And if they did buy it, I'm a big believer in fate. And if that was what happened, then that place wasn't meant for me then. And that's okay too, because the journey, the search has been fun, and I'm okay to keep doing that if the place doesn't feel right. And that's kind of what I'm going with right now, with these added costs adding up and then some complications. And I'm just thinking, maybe it's not meant to be. Maybe it's just not the one for me. And for sure, my initial reaction was to pass anyway because it was too big. And it was too big for that price. But then you drop the price and you're like, wow, that's an incredible deal. So I don't know. Should I buy it because it's a great deal? Probably not. I should buy it because it feels like it's the absolute one. So that's kind of where I'm at right now. I'm just on hold. I'm just waiting. I told Paula I'm going to take my time, think about it some more, and we'll see. I think I'm going to spend some time on the computer looking at properties this week, and if something pops up that looks really interesting, I may pivot, and start looking at that place. But anyway, now you guys are up to speed. You know all that I know. That's everything. So just kind of a crazy up and down week, lots of different stuff. So, but again, it's all part of the process, right? It's all part of the experience, and I'm really having a good time. I'm really enjoying it. It's I said I was really angry when those people, whoever they were, tried to buy that place out from under me. But, it's funny, like real estate, I've done quite a bit of real estate here in Colorado, and I try not to let myself get emotionally attached to something before I buy it. And I think that's the only way you can do it, because the minute you're completely emotionally hooked on something, you've lost all negotiation power. You've completely lost any ability to negotiate, because really the only thing you can do is walk away, right? When you're the buyer, that's the most powerful thing you can do. So if you can't walk away, well, then you're kind of screwed. You're going to have to pay whatever they say and do whatever they say. So and I don't get that way. I'm pretty good about kind of compartmentalizing myself and not letting it get too tied up in emotions. So we'll see. But if I do find that one that really feels like a good match, like I said before, I'm ready to pull the trigger. So anyway, thanks again for coming today. And Again, thanks for watching all the videos and subscribing and continuing to subscribe. So there's a couple levels for the partner program. The first level is 500 subscribers. I just noticed yesterday I'm at like 860 subscribers. So that's fantastic. I'm just blown away. So thank you once again so much for subscribing. Thank you for viewing my videos. Thank you for posting comments. And thank you for coming along on this journey. I really appreciate it.